What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today is day 2 of my 4 guys that I feel best fits the Washington Commanders offense and defense. So again, you want to see the first 4 I did, you can watch my previous video, but this is the next 4 grouping of guys that I feel best fits the scheme, and on top of that will be available at a lot of picks that Washington will have. So again, y'all, I want to hear what some of y'all have to say about this, but like I said, these are some very, very solid guys. This particular draft has a lot of guys that are NFL ready. Now, I'm not saying every guy's NFL ready, but a lot of guys are in fact NFL ready. So I'm going to start with the first. I'm going to start on offense. So on offense, I got Matthew Bergeron, the offensive tackle out of Syracuse. Again, one thing about the Eric Bieniemy offense is that it does rely on agile offensive linemen. One being, and definitely at the tackle positions. And Matthew Bergeron is that type of guy. He's very quick to get in his stance. He does a fantastic job when he's blocking in space. And he's one of those guys that when he gets into a defender, he makes sure that he stops that defender dead in his tracks. Now, there are things that is a tie with him, but again, for the offense that we're running, he perfectly fits this. Because this guy, again, we've had the issue in Washington regarding the screen game for a very long time. We've always had the guys that didn't have the ability to sit up there and block in the screen game. This guy does a fantastic job with that. There were a lot of plays that Syracuse ran where you saw him, where they ran screenplays and basically the running backs and everybody just ran behind him. So again, this guy right here, he fits our mold, especially for this offense. And I'm going to tell y'all something. This is one of the few guys that I looked at and I was like, whoa. This is something here. Now, I will also tell you guys this. He's a flex player. He can play both tackle positions, and on top of that, more than likely, he could probably play both guard positions as well. But when I look at this guy play, he does a fantastic job just blocking. Now, there are times where he does come off the snap late at times, but every time I've seen him come off the snap late, it's always been when he's been on the road. It's never been in the home games. So again, that may also play a role into maybe possibly him not hearing the snap count or what's going on, but I do know at times that he is late off the snap count. But again, this guy is very agile. Like I said, he's a fantastic blocker. He sets his blocks up for himself very well. He does a fantastic job blocking out in space. And for me, I feel that Matthew Bergeron is a great fit for us. Now, I do hope that they focus him on left tackle, because I think that long term, that will be his position. And I think that if you develop him well, that will be the best position. Now, I will preference this by saying this. I am a little concerned that with them firing John Matskow, they don't have a proven offensive line coach. But I mean, hopefully Worthall, if he's still with us, hopefully he's able to take over that role and do a fantastic job with developing offensive linemen, but we will see. But again, like I said, Matthew Bergeron, I like him a lot. You should check him out. Like I said, we a lot of us have complained about the screen game. This guy fits very well when it comes to blocking in the screen game. Next is a guy that I talked about even earlier before, and this was one of my guys to keep an eye out on, and that guy's Darnell Washington. Yeah, he will be going in the first round. And if he falls to the second round, that will be a shocker, but he'll probably be taken very early in the second round. Darnell Washington, again, you're talking about fitting this offense. I know a lot of fans like Dalton Kincaid. He's a fine guy, but he's more of a receiver than a blocker. Now, the history of this offense has all relied on tight ends that were deceptive receivers. Even if you think about in a sense of like Brent Jones, he was a deceptive receiver. And sometimes we talk about Andy Reid and we hop over Mike Holmgren. If you remember when Mike Holmgren was in Green Bay, he had Mark Shimura. I think it was Mark Shimura. Yeah, Mark Shimura. Yeah, he had Mark Shimura for all that time in Green Bay. And then when he went to Seattle, his first year in Seattle, I think he had Christian Farina, something like that. I think that was the guy that he had up in there. And then when you think of Andy Reid had Chad Lewis. They got Chad Lewis in free agency, and then they tried to switch that position up because Philadelphia had drafted L.J. Smith, and he didn't quite fit how they wanted him to. And they ended up getting Brent Selleck, and Brent Selleck for a long time was that guy. And of course, when you think about Zach Ertz and a lot of these guys, they all, Dallas Goedert, they all fit that description. So again, you look at Travis Kelce, he fits that description. So these guys have all fit that level, that particular description when it comes to who's playing that particular offense and the type of quarterbacks the type of tight ends that come into that offense. So again, Darnell Washington, he's a fantastic blocker. He's very good at blocking. Not only that, like I said, he's so good at blocking that he can definitely play very well. One of the things that people were talking about was that his production at Georgia. But the problem with that is that he actually played opposite of another tight end, Bowers, who was basically that Alabama offense was wrapped around him. So Darnell Washington didn't get the targets that he could have gotten, but when he was targeted, he made plays. And like I said, he's devastating when it comes to him getting in that second level. Once he gets in that second level and he gets in space, he's running over people. People are not just bringing him down off of the first tackle. He's actually taking people on and running people over. So again, like I said, you add his blocking ability, you add his receiving ability for this offense, and I understand Washington they may be overconfident with their tight end room. They do have they got receivers. I hope Amani Rodgers ends up becoming a better blocker, because if he does, then he will be one of those deceptive tight ends as well. But for me right now, Darnell Washington fits the offensive scheme in Washington. Now I'm going to the defensive side. And again, defensive side, there's a lot of things that we've lacked on the defensive side in regards to finding people to fill certain roles. And of course, the one role that for some odd reason Ron and Jack have not been able to pin down and pinpoint and fix has been that linebacker position, especially when you're talking about the Mike linebacker. And with that, the guy that I got down here, because I think that he fits this role very specifically, not only that, the way that they need their linebackers to play, they actually have them play a very straight line type of way. They don't have the Mike linebacker trying to do too much, but they do expect for him to call plays, shoot gaps, and everything like that. And this guy right here does it well. And that guy is Aubrey Miller Jr., the linebacker out of Jackson State. I liked his film when he was at Jackson State, but what put me over the top was me seeing him play at the Senior Bowl. This guy shoots the gaps very quickly. He's very fast to the ball. He also does a fantastic job with shooting gaps and identifying what the play is and getting to the hole or getting to the gap to bring down the ball carrier or make a play. Now, I will say this. He's not the strongest in pass coverage, but he can do it. He can actually do it. And again, this is one of these guys that I understand he goes to a small school. And some people may not be looking at him. But understand, this guy could actually be something special. Now, several years ago, a couple years ago, I sat up here and talked about another guy in Nick Bolton, who was another guy that people talked about how he was small and he wasn't that fast in coverage and things like that. He's been showing out in Kansas City. This guy, Aubrey Miller Jr., I think that he's one that can actually perform very well in this defense, especially when you look at what Jack and Ron is going to ask him to do. He's going to be able to pick up this defense very well. Not only that, they can rely on him calling the plays versus necessarily having Cam Curl call the plays. So again, I like this guy, Aubrey Miller Jr. out of Jackson State. I like him a lot. Last but not least is my last guy. And again, this guy right here, again, I told y'all, we're going to have problems when it comes to the defensive end position come next year. All our guys are pretty much up. Like, I mean, James Smith-Williams will be up. Montez Sweat will be up. If they don't extend Chase Young with the 5th-year option, he will be up. And like I said, I think Casey Toohill will be up as well. So you're talking about, those are some big players, especially when you're talking about our starters and our rotation guys, both possibly, all possibly being all up at the same time. So again, to combat that particular problem, you're going to more than likely have to draft ends. And an end that we may be able to draft, and he's a guy that I actually feel very confident in fitting this scheme, and that guy is Zach Harrison, the defensive end out of the Ohio State, another Ohio State end. I think he's 6'5" or 6'6", but he's a very big guy. He also does a fine job with anticipating the snap count, because for some reason he does a very good job getting to the ball. He also has a long wingspan, and he does a fantastic job with swiping at the ball a lot. He does it a lot. Like, if he gets behind a quarterback, he's always swiping at their hands and stuff like that. I think last year he forced like 3 fumbles, but he's always active with swiping his hands and everything like that. It's something that Chase Young doesn't do as well, but Chase Young does do it. But this guy does it a little bit better. He's always swiping. Now, there are times where, again, he does anticipate the snap, which means that he might end up being offsides. But there are times that he does hold, because he tries his best when he's trying to anticipate the snap. Sometimes he holds, and he holds too long. So there are times where he does that. He does a good job with tackling when they come to the edge and tackling. He does a solid job with shutting off the edge. But again, he's a guy that, again, like I said, if we're going to be having this issue of us losing not only our starters but also our rotation guys, we're going to have to find ways to fill these gaps in. And again, a guy like Zach Harrison, defensive end out of Ohio State, and again, we understand these Ohio State ends, they do fairly well in the NFL. Again, I know a lot of y'all are fed up with Chase Young, but again, you got to understand he's been injured. So understand that he hasn't busted out yet. You know, so again, like I said, I feel Zach Harrison would be a fantastic fit for this scheme, because again, it's not like we don't run a scheme, especially when you talk about our front four, that he would benefit off, especially, again, playing beside our 2 stellar defensive tackles. So, again, y'all tell me what y'all think. These are my new 4 guys that will fit in our Washington schemes. I will be coming to you guys tomorrow with 4 more guys. So again, y'all tell me what y'all think. Do y'all agree with this? Do y'all agree with the guys that I've chosen to fit our schemes? What is your opinion of some of the guys? Y'all tell me what y'all think. Again, I'll be here tomorrow. I'll actually be back tomorrow twice. I'll be back early in the day because I'll be giving you 4 more guys, and then I'll be back later in the day on tomorrow because I will be doing the coverage for the XFL game, the DC Defenders game. So other than that, y'all tell me what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.